Can you believe this is the 31st MCU movie?
Literally no.
What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, joined by my lovely lady friend Cam. How you doing, Cam?
Good.
And today,
so long since you've called me that.
It feels nice. It feels good to be back.
Sounds like we broke up and got back together.
Today we're talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, full spoiler talk. So if you guys haven't seen this movie, be sure to drop a like and come back. Let us know your thoughts, spoiler-filled, on the movie after you watch it. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. Without further ado, final spoiler warning for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. So we watched the movie yesterday. How you feeling?
Good.
Good? Yeah. We'll say this, it debuted with like a 58% on Rotten Tomatoes,
That's
which
so bad.
It's astounding to me, actually, especially considering other MCU films that debuted with a much higher score, notably Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't understand Rotten Tomatoes. It doesn't bother me, but I hope that doesn't alter people's perception before they actually see the movie.
No, yeah. I already know that I'm seeing it again on Saturday with my friends. Yeah. And I'll say this much, when Phase 4 was happening, there were a solid chunk of movies that when I watched them, I was like, I'm good. I don't need to see them again. Knowing that I'm seeing this movie again, I'm excited. I'm not dreading that I have to watch it again. I'm never going to watch Thor: Love and Thunder again in my entire life.
No, I'm not either.
I'm probably never going to really watch Multiverse of Madness again.
This one, I want to see again.
I'm fine.
Right.
Yeah, I'm fine seeing it again.
Damn right. So I guess we can start at the very beginning, a very good place to start.
I was just about to say that.
So we get the MCU logo to start, nothing special there, and then we get this little cold open with Janet Van Dyne in the quantum realm.
My queen, by the way.
Yeah.
I've been a Janet stan since day one.
You have? Since Ant-Man and the Wasp in 2018.
Loved her. It's because she's got a whole thing with Spider-Gwen, and I love Spider-Gwen. I was excited for her to be in this because we're going to actually have more of her as opposed to what we had in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
During that cold open when we see Janet, it's actually in the past, and who does she have an encounter with? Kang himself.
We all went,
the theater kind of went, you could hear that gasp in the audience, setting up that they may or may not have a little backstory that we had no clue about, nor the characters. We'll get into that later on in this video.
Get into the movie. We get a nice little voiceover of Scott reading his book, which, by the way, did you know that you can actually buy that book? Like a real book.
Imagine, and then getting it signed by Paul Rudd in a Scott Lang signature.
I think I kind of want to do that, actually.
That might be on my bucket list now.
I'm going to buy the book and read it.
Do it.
But we basically just get him walking throughout San Francisco, reading his book.
Yeah, and he's like very happy-go-lucky, but in a way, not like egotistical in an evil way, but like he definitely has like an edge to him where he's like, I'm the shit, I'm Ant-Man, and like, you know, he walks into a restaurant and it's like his drinks are free.
It's the Avengers treatment.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So it's something he's not been used to, you know, being sort of this high-class guy that gets stopped on the street for photos and recognized. So in a way, it's sort of gotten to his head maybe a little bit. But it's funny because he's doing this book reading for these kids and then he gets a call and he's like, why is San Francisco jail calling me? Who's in jail? Cassie. She's maybe a troublemaker?
She's like in jail. She's like anti-cop.
Yeah,
you know, she's fighting for the little man.
Yeah,
she's fighting
stick it to the man.
She's fighting for the people, so it's fine. She's not in jail for any bad reasons necessarily. Like father, like daughter, I guess.
He established that family dynamic pretty early on, like I mentioned in my non-spoiler review. There's a bit of a rocky relationship between Cassie and Scott, I would say. They missed 5 years together with the blip, so they...
She's kind of rude for no reason for that. Like, it's not
I'll be honest. Yeah, she acts like he, you know...
It could have been longer if it wasn't for him.
He comes back a hero, and I get that she's upset, you know, at that age, but...
give him a break.
It's funny, though, because it seems like the rest of the family, that including, you know, Hope, Hank, and Janet, sort of side with Cassie.
Well, they all got blipped.
They all got blipped. You're totally right. They're all kind of anti-Scott, but in a lighthearted way.
It's not that they're anti-Scott, it's just that the four of them are on like such a different field than Scott, because they experienced the blip in such different ways.
Yeah, it was like 2 seconds for everybody. Remember, because we saw in Hawkeye, Yelena's POV, that's still one of the best portrayals of the blip we've seen.
Oh, 100%.
As we move on from that, it's revealed that Cassie's actually been kind of studying the quantum realm, or just, you know, all that jazz, and somehow, some way, she's been sending a signal down there.
Yeah, like, it's kind of like echolocation.
Yeah.
The way she explained in the movie, where like, when we're exploring the ocean, we send a signal down, and then like comes back up, and that's how we map the ocean floor. Kind of, they're trying to create a map of the quantum realm, because they don't know anything about it. And her signal messes everything up. Which
is like wild to think of how smart she actually is to do that. Like the first time I was watching, I was like, oh, that's cool. But like even Hank was talking about how like he was struggling. You know, she's very smart, and that's
she was using Hank's old notebooks. Yeah. But her studying the quantum realm was a shock to Scott and to Janet. Yeah. Those two were out of the loop. I think Hope was in the loop. She looked like she was in the loop.
Yeah, I think so.
And Hank was in the loop. The two most important ones were not.
Janet doesn't really vibe with this. She's like turn that off now. She pulls the plug, and this further hints at the fact that, you know, not everything might be as it seems with the quantum realm. Something dangerous might be down there. She might have a past. We'll get into that again later. We're going to tease it just like the movie did. It's unplugged, and then all of a sudden, boop, it kind of fires back up, and they all get sucked down into the quantum realm in a very trippy scene that, it's reminding me of Doctor Strange when he like goes astral for the first time, and it's just like him flying through the multiverse. Like it was very much like
they're
that.
like getting sucked through things that look like membrane kind of and
Yeah,
organisms and stuff, and very science-y.
Basically like when they show the blood of a mutant in an X-Men movie, like that on steroids.
The scene in Breaking Dawn Part 1 where Bella gets bit by Edward and we see her veins turning to ice, that's essentially what it looks like, just with more colors.
That was a good description.
Thanks so much.
So when we get down to the quantum realm, Scott and Cassie are a group that's separated, and then everyone else, Hope, Hank, and Janet, they're on their own as well. So our group has been split up, and that's kind of like the inciting incident for this movie. Scott and Cassie have a run-in with the local civilization. A lot of people have been comparing this movie to Star Wars, which, side rant, just because there's like imagery that's similar to Star Wars, I don't think that the themes and like the way the movie plays out is remotely like a Marvel Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I get the comparison because that's kind of how I explained it to my friends. There's like a little bit of like a cantina scene, because we'll see Hank and Janet and Hope go to like a bar. All these creatures that are in the quantum realm, not all of them look like humans. So when you see something that's, we're in a bar and these things look like aliens, your mind's gonna go to cantina scene, Star Wars, just because that's an iconic.
It's literally a template.
It's iconic. It's an iconic thing. In terms of like the structure of the movie, in terms of characters, in terms of vibes, it's nothing like a Star Wars movie. So if people are saying it's like Star Wars, I think they just mean the fact that we see aliens.
If anything, it's more Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's
or
way more
Thor.
colorful. It's way more colorful than Star Wars. Star Wars is like beige.
I don't see the Star Wars comparisons. I think there's little references to it, like the cantina, like a moment where Scott and Cassie get captured. It feels like in Return of the Jedi when the Ewoks capture Han, Chewie.
Inspired by it. It's not like it. It's just inspired by it, probably.
Yeah. It's funny because they drink this ooze, so that they can actually understand the alien species. The shot of Scott getting the ooze funneled down his throat, straight out of Temple of Doom. Did you notice that? Like when he has to drink the blood, like when his mouth's open and like he's trying to fight it. It's very Temple of Doom, so I appreciated that.
And then we get a couple of new characters. I doubt we'll ever really see them again, considering the fact that they're in the quantum realm. They had, a whole arc in the movie where like we'll get into it, but like, Kang took over the quantum realm, and so they're on like the outskirts and they want it back. I don't think we'll ever really see them again. They're fine.
No, and we'll talk about how their art comes full circle, but they are a civilization that's been kind of outcast. And they keep talking about he, him, this person, this mysterious being who is responsible for their outcast and sort of taking over the entire quantum realm. That was really well done, because we know Kang's in this movie from the marketing and all that jazz.
We know who he is.
We know who he is, he's the audience.
But Scott
doesn't, and them saying he, him, like, it
like,
really
what?
built that tension. Yeah, they really did a good job of building up to the Kang reveal, in my opinion. While they're captured and they start to learn more about what's going on, we cut over to Hope and all of that crew, and Janet's a badass in this.
She's so cool. I've known the whole time. She's an icon.
They're just walking in this, like, empty desert field. It's even hard to describe, and like this tribe of like locals just comes and attacks him, and she just bodies this person, and then they're all buddy. She's like, I just got us a ride, by the way, because I stabbed this person.
She's me.
Janet supremacy. Let us know how you feel in the comments down below.
I agree.
But at the same time, is it?
Because
she's been withholding information from her family, which brings up the the age-old question, like, what will you do? What lengths will you go to protect your family? Do you lie to them? Do you withhold information? It seems like she's been doing that, as revealed through a scene with Kryler, played by Bill Murray, who she may have had a romantic past with, like a fling. I didn't like that either.
But they were fine with it, so it brushed over very quickly. Yeah. Hank was like, I went to dinner with someone a couple times. It's fine. We're even.
Yeah. He was like, none of them were you, honey. It was very Indiana Jones Crystal Skull when he reunites with Marion. I love that like trope though.
Yeah.
So that worked for me. But yeah, Kryler, played by Bill Murray, revealed all this information, setting up Kang even more. And this is at the cantina, by the way.
We get a little shootout in a bar.
We get our first action scene. Yeah, we get a shootout. Hope kicking ass. And they escape on this plane where you have to like stick your hands into, not a plane, but a ship. And like you have to stick your hands into it. It was grotesque.
The quantum realm is definitely weird.
It's very wacky.
They definitely, I know that like the creative people had a lot of fun.
A field day, one might say.
A field day. Mocking up all the weird stuff that happens in the quantum realm.
So yeah, they get the hell out of there, but Kryler kind of hinted that this
mechanized organism designed only for killing. And it's so funny because a couple minutes later in the movie, a joke is made by Scott that I thought of too. When we as the audience are explained what the acronym for MODOK stands for, in my head I was like, that's MODOK. He's so mean.
But yeah, MODOK pulls up on Scott and Cassie first, and it's this robotic thing, and he's shooting at him and everything, and he ends up taking them captive, and it is revealed that MODOK is Derek Kathryn, aka Yellow Jacket, the villain from the first Ant-Man movie, kind of teased earlier on because Cassie has a line where she talks about, I had to fight the bee guy.
I'll never have a normal childhood.
Yeah.
A guy dressed like a bee tried to kill me when I was 6. I've never been normal, Dad.
Yeah, it's safe to say Kathryn Newton is the weak link. Said that in my non-spoiler review.
No offense, Kathryn Newton, if you're watching.
She, yeah, no disrespect, but she was not the best here. It was distractingly bad performance at times.
It wouldn't bother me as much if it's been Kathryn Newton the whole time. If you're gonna recast somebody, you recasted the girl that's been Cassie this entire time. You're gonna recast her, recast so the actress is better. I thought that's why we recasted, because the original girl couldn't handle being like a
she was also a little too young,
actress
still probably
in a movie. You can make her look older, it doesn't matter.
True.
You know what I mean? Like,
hell, we had a Cassie for like a brief second.
That's what I'm saying.
Is that what you're saying? Okay, yeah.
That Cassie, like they recasted her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you're gonna recast, you do it because the current actor can't handle what is going to happen. She probably would have been just as good, if not maybe even better. The recast felt pointless.
Now, I've seen online that a lot of people are saying the first act is very clunky, and to me it's fast-moving but effective. Like, a lot of people are like, it's not effective until after the scene I'm about to talk about where Kang's introduced, but like, to me, I thought it was well done.
I disagree.
Out the gate.
We are in the quantum realm within like the first 15 minutes, and so you're like, okay, good, we're there. We've established where we are outside the quantum realm, now we're in the quantum realm.
Yeah, the familiar relationships,
we're in the plot.
We're good. Yep.
Now we're separated, and we're gonna establish where each of our groups are, and who they're with, and what these people are. Good, now Kang.
Kang's introduced, and it's my favorite scene in the whole movie. It's this expositional scene. A lot of people will say it's an exposition dump. It is, but I dug it. We flash back to the opening where we see Janet with Kang, and we get a full-on backstory about, how they were friends, and for a while Janet was helping him discover how to fix his ship. But then right when it's fixed, in that multiversal orb, I forget the exact name of it, the main crucial part of the ship that allows him to, travel between multiverses.
His ship is like, I forget the word they use in the movie, but it's some scientific term.
Yeah.
For like some neurological term where essentially this core and his ship are all attached to Kang's brain. So when Janet is putting like the orb thing into his ship, she sees everything.
Yeah, because he can go wherever he wants based on his image, right? Like his thoughts.
Well, she's just seen everything. He's done or wants to do.
When she touched it, he saw like his visions of just conquering and destruction, and it spooked her. And the acting right there, that's my favorite like performance moment. She slayed, but he was literally like, he went like that, and he like did that thing with his eyes where he like the psychopath thing.
It's like that moment when you're watching a horror movie or a thriller movie, one without comedy actually, genuinely, and the main character realizes that they're in the room with a killer, and then the killer realizes that the main character knows they're the killer, and they both have this moment of like eye contact where they're like, so I have goosebumps.
It was really well executed scene.
And the Majors is so good.
And the conflict there for Janet too, she was like, I could get out right now because he's offering to take me home and act like nothing ever happened. I go see Hope.
She's like got tears in her eyes. And it's so crazy. She just saw him murder trillions and trillions of people. Yeah. That's such a crazy thing to witness in like 0.5 seconds. I can't even imagine like the damage that does on the brain.
Traumatizing, truly. She decides, I'm gonna destroy this thing and trap Kang here while trapping myself as well for the greater good of the world and humanity. So she made a good decision there. Yeah, slay.
Slay.
But then we cut back over to Scott and Cassie when they're in prison, and we get our first confrontation between Kang himself and Scott. And in this moment is where I realized this is the next Thanos. Like the way that he pulled up and he was just no nonsense. He was like, you're gonna go find this piece of my ship for me or I'm gonna kill Cassie. And then he like moved his fingers and pinned them like both against the wall.
You know how like people kind of make jokes of that Squidward looking fella in Infinity War? That's
Ebony
on
Maw,
Yeah, on Thanos' army where like he can just kind of just go.
Yeah.
That's what Kang can do.
That's what Kang can do, and he's extremely overpowered, which was established very well in this movie.
I feel like we just saw the tip of the iceberg of what Kang can do.
They just teased and we're going to see some Kangs down the line, let me tell you. We'll save that for the end of the video. He is very strong in this movie, and he probably could have killed anyone at any given time if he wanted to. I have, some qualms with that we'll get into in a second.
Something that I liked about this, like, sort of interrogation scene, I guess, with Kang and Scott is that when Jonathan Majors is talking, you said this in your non-spoiler review, but I said it, so I'm gonna say it again. Like, when Jonathan Majors talks, it's like silent. There's pauses in between his sentences, and no one's interrupting him, no one's speaking. Scott's not making any jokes, and if Scott's not making jokes, you know it's serious. There's silence in the theaters, and I feel like we never really get silence when we're watching a Marvel movie. There's always jokes happening. Not when Kang is speaking. No one's breathing when Kang is speaking because everyone's like terrified.
No one, has a comedic bit to try and cut through the tension. It just plays out, and it makes you hold your breath as an audience member in the seat.
Like, I feel like Jonathan Majors is like a thespian the way he talks. His line deliveries are so good.
He's one of the strongest actors they've got in the MCU right now. We just don't get like villains that command the screen like that much. Like I love the Namor and some other Phase 4 villains were solid, but this man like commands the screen.
The difference between a villain like Namor and a villain like Kang is that Namor is just, you know, he's a king. He's like cocky, you know, kind of.
I would argue he's also more understood in what he's doing.
Of course, yeah. There's
like Kang is straight up psychotic.
We don't have like there's no like daughter or anything that Kang's like fighting for
that we know of yet.
That we know of. There's no like human aspect to Kang to like really justify anything that he's trying to do. He's not even cocky. He's just like so short. Because he knows everything. Because he knows everything.
Yeah.
He knows everything. He's got this whole. He's got the sight or whatever. Yeah. He's scary.
Scott is assigned to go recover the part of the ship, and when he's down there, he's in like this probability area where he just starts to see like the probability of what can happen that a ton of Ant-Mans just duplicate. He's so close to getting it, and he falls just short.
This was a humorous part of the movie that actually worked well for me.
I know what you're about to talk about.
I'm a stickler with MCU humor lately. Like projects in the MCU really don't make me laugh anymore. Outside of like, you know, the Falcon Winter Soldier.
Comedy's kind of dry lately.
Shang-Chi made me laugh, but other than that, like. I don't think I laughed once watching Thor: Love and Thunder. This was funny though, because Scott's getting duplicated, and what it is every possibility that he could take is popping out of him. They explain it better in the movie. One of the probabilities is him in his Baskin-Robbins outfit, and it's just funny.
It was it was perfectly timed. Yeah,
it doesn't take anything away.
No, yeah.
It's good. It's funny.
Yeah, it was like a nice little callback. He gets piled up on by all these variants.
He's struggling. Wasp comes in and saves him.
Yeah, and this is after the motivational line from Cassie.
Motivational. Yeah. You can do it, Dad. Dad, I believe in you.
Yeah, it was rough. I'm sorry.
Come back to me, Dad. Don't leave me again.
Yeah, put a little more oomph in it, you know, like it.
Dad! Like, girl, please, you think your father's dying.
It was cringe at times,
sorry, not to be a hater or anything.
Kang ends up leaving them all for dead once the piece of the ship's recovered
and
anyway.
He doesn't give Cassie back either. It's like, you get this part for me and you'll get your daughter back. Scott has the orb. Kang takes it and he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to keep your daughter too. And then he takes Janet, dips, and leaves Hope and Scott in the middle of nowhere in the quantum realm. And he's like, let's see if you guys survive out here. But then Mr. Hank Pym comes and saves them. At the beginning of the movie, when they get sucked into the quantum realm, there's like a whole thing with like this ant farm that was also in the room that got sucked in there with him. And we see these ants come back. And it's actually really interesting to see an example of how different time and space works in the quantum realm depending on where you are. These ants that came down there with them had like years and years and years to develop technology with where they were in the quantum realm. And it's just really interesting how time is so sporadic and different depending on where you are. Hank comes and saves them with the ants because that's what Hank does.
Yeah, that's Hank's
ants.
Yeah. Hank's best moment, the ants came and they kicked ass. They were very advanced as a civilization. It was
big
wild
brain
to
ants.
see.
Big brain.
Yeah, so this all sets up the final showdown, the whole third act, which, you know, the whole movie's going to build to some sort of final battle. It's the MCU, it's the template, and love it or hate it, it's just the world we live in. I liked the third act, you know?
Same.
Yeah, I thought there were some fun, unique action sequences here. At this point, Kang doesn't care about anyone anymore, and I had to wrap my brain around this. Like, he just cares about getting out with his ship because he's trying to get it up and running again. For a minute there, he's just sending out all of his goons to go fight Ant-Man and everyone off, you know, the other civilization. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, why is this happening? Like, why is Kang not just going out there and whooping their ass? And then I was like, okay, my rationale for this is it's sort of plot armor because Kang can't just kill them.
Yeah.
Because he truly is so much more powerful. And then I was like, oh, right, Kang is trying to escape and doesn't care about them. So I was just not thinking about that for a second in the moment. I was like, okay, it makes sense now.
Kang is also very much a work smarter, not harder type of person. Yeah. And he has this whole giant army of like, you know, big, like they have like blue faces.
Or, yeah, like Mysterio.
Their things. He has guns. He has giant towers that are like 20 guns built on them. And he's like, don't let Scott touch the orbs, which is like the thing he's flying out in. He's very much work smarter, not harder. He's not gonna fight someone with his own sweat and blood.
It's kind of like Thanos sending out the children of Thanos.
Yeah, he has
the Black Order.
He will have other people do things for him before he has to do it because it's easier.
While this is happening, you know, Cassie breaks out, which was a cool moment for Cassie. She breaks out, and we get a little battle between the civilizations. Some cute moments, you know. The little gum dude is like, "I have holes now," and he.
Yeah, this movie has a weird fascination with holes.
The weird like sex jokes in this movie. Am I wrong? Like the fluids, like the bunch of different ones. Like for a minute there was like the playful innuendo with Hank and Janet. There was that whole bit. Like it was a little weird. Not gonna lie.
But it also kind of feels like Scott Lang at the same time. So
that's fair. The goofy moments in this movie that I didn't dig were some of the civilization, but it's like I'm willing to let it slide. It's an Ant-Man movie. There's gonna be this cheesy goofiness, so I'll embrace it, and I think the movie does too. You know, in this third act battle, we get a giant Cassie. She goes full giant.
Yeah. So her and Scott are both giant together.
Yeah. She's fighting MODOK too, and kicks his ass. And there's that whole bit about like being a dick, and he's like, I won't be a dick anymore.
It's never too late to not be a dick. That was a good line for her.
That might be the best quote from this movie.
Scott and Cassie have like a cute little moment when they're both giant.
Oh,
a
yeah.
callback to Civil War. She's like, I kind of want citrus. And he's like, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? And she's like, I could go for a lime right now.
They have a lot of good comedic callbacks here.
Yeah.
And then who saves the day yet again?
Hank.
Hank.
Love that man so
with
much.
his army of ants. It seems like Kang has taken out most of the civilization and everybody, and hope is lost. The ants pull up, and these things are overpowered. Let's be real. They're beasts.
Absolutely crushing it.
Yeah, they're beasts. And for a second they're fighting him, and then MODOK comes in to sacrifice himself to stop Kang. Kang gets taken away, and I was like, no way is this going to be the last time we see Kang in this movie. I was like going to be pissed. So yeah, for a second there, I would have been very upset if Kang disappeared from the end of the movie, and they did like a Marvel Miss Market thing where they just made a fake scene of him fighting Scott. But sure enough, as everyone, goes into the ship and they create this portal, everyone seemed to get out, and I was like, is the movie just going to end like this? Well, everyone gets through the portal except for Scott, leading to the final showdown with Kang.
I was nervous when that happened because I had a running theory that Hank was going to be the one that died, and they were setting him up to be like a hero. He was saving the day. They're all going through the portal, and Scott's the last one to go through the portal, and I'm like, oh my god, no. Are they actually going to do it?
I mean, I was nervous after the shot in the trailer when we see, his helmet get crushed. After that, I mean, the beating that Scott took was pretty unfathomable. Like, he was getting his ass whooped. I couldn't really process
There was blood
it.
for sure.
And like the sound effects, everything, like Kang was whooping his ass, and if it wasn't for Wasp coming in and helping out, he would have died.
And when she came back, I was like, oh no.
Well, that's her literal biggest role, because she is the most sidelined of all of it. Yeah, it should have been Ant-Man Quantumania, but continuity. Sure enough, they both come in and they defeat Kang, and some people may complain about it and say Kang died. He was so overpowered, but he died. But my thing is, there's so many Kangs out there.
The scary thing about Kang is that he's inevitable. Him, as in including all of his variants, he is inevitable. No matter who you kill, which Kang you kill, it doesn't matter, because another one of him is going to be right behind him. That's the scary thing. And I think it's a tricky thing to wrap your brain around, and we still don't know like the exact gist of it, but I think they kind of explained it to us in Loki, where he's like, I've seen every variant of me, and every variant of me is bad, essentially.
Except for the one in Loki.
Yeah.
And Sylvie Eagles, so.
Rip.
Yeah, but there was that great line that he says, basically, where he was like, I think he was talking to Janet or something, where he was like, you still don't get time. Basically, I am inevitable, without saying I am inevitable. This isn't the end, pretty much.
Something about time being a circle.
Yeah.
We got some good imagery of like timelines popping up.
Yeah.
I know Loki editors.
Helpful to watch Loki.
Loki editors are gonna have so much fun editing this movie.
And we'll get to Loki here in a second. But the movie wraps up after that. Kang is defeated. We cut to black for a second. I was like, is that the end of the movie? And then we get a parallel to the opening with Scott walking all happy-go-lucky. This time around, he's not getting stopped on the street as much. He has to pay for his drink. He's still a celebrity, but he's, back down to earth a little bit. And what is he doing? He's celebrating Cassie's birthday, even though it's not her birthday, because he did miss so many with her. But all the while, he's like, wait a second.
Did we defeat Kang?
I loved that. It was kind of morbid in a way.
Yeah, and it was good to like have a Marvel movie end on a note that wasn't like, okay, we did it.
It was like left the door open for what they're leading up to, but it also showed the main hero with that anxiety. We never really get to see that aside from like Iron Man 3, where someone has like trauma from what they went through.
We didn't really see Kang die. We don't know what happened to him when he got sucked into the orb.
That's what I'm thinking. I think that that version of Kang will be the leader in Dynasty, even though there's a post-credit scene we can talk about now, where we see like a council of higher-up Kangs assembling thousands and thousands of Kangs.
A bunch of them.
I believe there's a line where they said the exiled one, which is the Kang from Quantumania, and they say he's like dead or gone. I forget the exact line, but no one's ever really gone unless we see a body. We know this.
That's so true.
I would put money on it that version of Kang somehow comes back.
At least one that looks a lot like him, because it was really cool seeing a bunch of Kang variants, but I'm not going to take it seriously if I'm watching Kang in an Egyptian outfit be the leader of Kang Dynasty.
No,
I'm not taking that seriously.
I think that they're going to have to go the way more serious route, and they'll have some variant rise up, for sure.
They'll have a different outfit, sell more Funko Pops, all the vibes.
Yeah, but that was the first post-credit scene, setting up Kang Dynasty, setting up the fact that Kang's going to be a threat for movies to come, projects to come. And speaking of upcoming projects, the second post-credit scene is one of the better ones in recent years, because A, it set up a project that's coming next year, and B, it was so unexpected.
The way the post-credit scene plays out, it seems like it's going to be a gag one
at
first.
I was like,
we're
damn.
seeing like another variant of Kang, but it's like we're in like
1800s.
We're in old days or whatever. I'm like, oh, it's just going to be like a gag, like the first Kang, like the very first Kang to ever exist or whatever. And then, no. We see none other in the audience than Mobius and Loki.
Yeah.
I gasped. Me and Chris, we sat up and we went, it was so exciting. Is it the biggest deal ever? No. We all knew that Kang was going to play a part in Loki Season 2. We all know Loki Season 2 is happening. When was the last time we got a post-credit scene where we saw a character that's like, I'd call Loki an OG character.
Yeah, I would as well. It's been a while, but the thing that excited me the most, Cam, was that we got to see essentially a scene from Loki Season 2. It was very Ant-Man post-credit scene giving us a scene from Civil War. That is my favorite type of post-credit scene, and it feels like we're going back to the roots of post-credit scenes, where the first one ties up a loose end from the movie, and the next one is literally unrelated, but just sets up the project.
They don't do that anymore.
They need to keep doing that, and it seems like they're kind of getting back to their roots, and I am here for that. But all in all, that is the rundown of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. We both enjoyed the movie, despite what Rotten Tomatoes and a lot of divisive, reviews online are saying. I dug it, actually more than any of the MCU movies we got last year, personally.
I will say this, though. It was fun, but I'm good with the Quantum Realm.
I
don't need to go back. I'm good. I've seen it. I know it's down there now, and I really don't need to experience it again.
I think they're done with the Quantum Realm.
It was fun, but it was so many colors.
And the visuals were hit or miss at times, let's be real.
It isn't really a real thing, so obviously it was fake stuff and very colorful, but maybe we can get some trees in the next Marvel movie or something. Some grass, maybe. Mountain landscape.
We can get some tears because it's Guardians 3 and we're all going to get our hearts ripped out, so.
That too.
We have that to look forward to.
One gripe with this movie that I thought of during this video. There was no Luis. I miss him. We got Jimmy Woo, but we didn't get Luis.
That's actually very upsetting to me now that you mention it.
I miss him.
Don't go watch this movie. Luis, no, I'm kidding. It is upsetting, but we need to get a recap again. It's been too damn long, and he's a staple of the OG Ant-Man crew. You're very right.
Shout out to him.
Yeah.
We miss
Michael
you.
Pena, you were sorely missed in Quantumania.
We missed you.
But that is going to conclude our spoiler review / breakdown of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Hit the like button. Comment down below your spoiler-filled thoughts. What do you think of the post-credit scene? Do you love this movie? Do you hate this movie? Do you think it's a mid-movie? Please let us know down below, and let us know if you made it to the end. Comment down below. #Ant-Man. You can find Cam on all the social medias. They're linked down below. Stay tuned for more MCU content coming this week. MCU ranking, MCU-related tier lists, possibly. It's going to be fun. Lots to look forward to. Guardians 3 is right around the corner, and I think we're going to have 2 MCU wins in a row, which hasn't happened in quite some time. We will see you guys in the Quantum Realm.